Jessica and Kelly are my sisters. We're triplets. We're extremely close.
My sisters and I are not only triplets, but we were born from the same egg.
For people that aren't a twin or a triplet, they may not understand, but I feel like a triplet bond is different.
We're best friends.
Yeah, we're best friends. The three of us are the only family that each other has. Jessica and Kelly loved Brandon when they first met him. Things were perfect. After a few months, Brandon moved in with me.
Jessica and I are both happily married to great men, and we just want the same for her.
Lindsay and Brandon were always happy and always laughing, but all that changed about a year ago. I was cleaning out the garage with Jessica and I found a bunch of shoes. I asked Brandon where they came from and he said that they were his ex's. After that, I found a video of a woman.
In the video, Brandon brought out my dad's old records.
She was taking records and breaking them with the shoes that I had just found in the garage.
All this is going on while my dad's dying of cancer.
I was hysterical.
You think he's on the straight and narrow when he's not. For 2 years, I had no idea he was doing this stuff, and now, I think he's cheating on me all the time.
Lindsay did show me another one of the videos. It's him and a girl out in the middle of the woods, and this girl's like stepping on his chest.
When I found out the things about Brandon, I told my sister that he was no longer allowed to be in my house. I was instantly disgusted. Brandon wants the best of both worlds. He wants a romantic and sensual relationship with me, and he wants to have women on the side to fulfill these urges that he has.
We went to couples therapy for a few months, but he's still doing the same thing.
I do feel that Lindsay should just move on in her relationship, and that involves leaving Brandon. I love that Jessica and Kelly are protective of me, but I've made a choice and I've made a decision to stay with Brandon, and I feel like they need to respect that.
Oh my Lord.
Take your seats right here.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi, Dr. Phil.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
All right, have a seat. Okay, so I know the two of you are very concerned about what's going on with your sister, right?
Absolutely.
And we have some items here. These aren't just props to dress up the set.
Yeah.
These, Lindsay, are your items, right? These are your
Correct.
shoes.
Yeah.
And this is your designer purse and your designer shoes. And Brandon removed these from your closet.
Yeah.
And had a girl damage these.
Yeah, that's correct.
He bought them for you, right?
He bought the shoes for me.
He bought and then stole one back, took it out, and had another girl damage it. And he says that's part of his fetish.
He had a woman damage the bag, and he had someone he was talking to on a website. He was basically daring him to, would you ruin my girlfriend's heels? And he ruined the heels. He had a girl ruin the bag.
Yeah, he had a girl on the bag. It was a burn mark, right?
Correct, yes.
And what was his explanation for this? You noticed this pretty quickly, right?
I noticed it immediately. I noticed my bag was missing, and Brandon miraculously was the one to find it. And so I had thought maybe I set it down at a Mexican restaurant, grease got on it. He didn't say a word. And then I found out a little over a year later that he had some girl light it on fire and burn it.
When you found out about that, what did he say? What was his explanation for taking your items that you value and doing destruction to them?
He didn't have an explanation. I mean, I found out a year later, and after that, I'd already known everything. So he didn't have a good reasoning. He just said that, it was something that he thought of course. He chose to take my item, but he didn't have a good reasoning. He just thought it would be a good idea, I guess.
All right. So, look, Kelly, what do you think about this? What's your take on this?
I think it's crazy. I've never been around something like this. I don't know anything like this in my personal life. So when she called me and told me about all this, you hate to think she's lying. Brandon's such a great guy. He's so nice, but until she showed me the stuff, that's when I believed it. I think it's just crazy.
And you said he's such a great guy. And Jessica, you say everybody loved Brandon at first, right?
Absolutely.
So at first, it was like, wow, what a great guy. He's a good personality.
Yeah, we were all excited. I mean, we're very excited.
Yeah, you thought, this guy's a real deal. He's a candidate. He's a
She
catch.
has been through the worst ex-boyfriends, and we're both married. So for her to come up with this guy, this is the man she's going to marry. We're all happy. For her, too. For her, personally.
Yeah, so everybody was doing the happy dance. This is the guy. You know, we
Yeah.
found a
Yeah.
real deal guy.
Yes.
Okay, and then when you two found out, because what we're talking about here, listen, different strokes for different folks.
Exactly.
If somebody's into fetish or whatever, I'm not going to judge that, but you have to understand that there are boundaries to everything that get into personal and relationship dignity.
Absolutely.
And a fetish is one thing for someone to embrace, but then when they start violating the rights of others, then that's something different. And when the fetish goes outside the relationship, when he starts violating your space, your possessions, your trust, your just really confidence, and starts lying to you, that's not fetish behavior. That's a different set of behaviors, okay? So fetish is one thing, and you can decide whether you're okay with that or not, but that's one set of behaviors. But then there's another set of behaviors that are overlying this whole thing. So we're going to have to separate those two things. So let's decide that there's one category of behaviors that is sexual behavior, fetish behavior. Then there's another set of behaviors that you have to consider: is this sociopathic? Is this pathological lying? Is this exploitation? Is this abuse? And that is not something that you can sweep under the rug as a fetish, or just decide that, it's a quirk. What do you think about what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Brandon told me, in the beginning about this fetish. He said he had to go outside of the relationship to get what he needs because his girlfriends don't understand, what he likes. So I was like, great, I do this with you. We have no issues. I never once thought, he was cheating on me or doing any of this stuff behind my back. So, I mean, when I found out,
It's different, I think, when you think you're the only one and you're going out of your comfort zone to please your partner and be open-minded and things like that. And if it's something you're willing to accept, then that's fine between the two of them. But then he goes and does it with other women, and that's disrespectful.
Well, and you've done some things to try to please Brandon.
absolutely, yeah.
Like, what kinds of things has he asked you to do that you've been willing to do that were outside your comfort zone?
Stand full weight on his face, step on his throat full weight, kick him in the face, of course, kick him,
Kick him in the groin,
Kick him
stand
in
on
the
his face,
groin,
stand on
yes.
his throat. So you've been willing to inflict pain on him at his request.
Yeah, because that's what he's asking for. And of course, I want to, if this is what he likes, I'm going to try and please him. Like, I want to be with him and,
So he's taken a masochistic approach to this, saying, I need you to hurt me in order for me to feel alive.
yes, exactly.
That's what he says to you. So
Well, not in those words, but yes.
yeah, I got you.
Yes.
That's what I say. I'm trying to
Yes.
be delicate here.
Yes.
And so you've actually done things that are very out of character for you.
Oh, yeah.
Because you
I
wouldn't
mean,
ordinarily kick a date in the face.
no, when he first asked me to start walking on him, I was like, what are you talking about? I mean, what do you mean? And then, he kind of explained it, but it helped when, when we first started dating, he actually came out to California. So I went through everything and I saw a video of him doing this with another woman. So then I kind of realized, okay, this is what Brandon likes. This is what he wants, obviously, or else, he wouldn't be paying to do it. So then I just kind of went from there.
All right.
Lindsay is the baby of the triplet sisters. Jessica and I absolutely feel like we need to protect her. Brandon is like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. He will lay in bed with Lindsay when he was out with another woman the day before.
I'm very concerned for Lindsay's safety. I do feel that Brandon can take his sexual encounters with other women to the extreme. I'm concerned Brandon or Lindsay could get seriously hurt. I get why Jessica and Kelly don't want me to be with Brandon. If they were in a relationship where their boyfriend was cheating on them, I wouldn't want them to be in that relationship either.
I love Lindsay with all my heart. Lindsay's known about my sexual tendencies since the beginning of our relationship. Lindsay was willing to experiment with me with things that I had paid other women to do. At the time, she thought it was just between her and I. I've never physically cheated on Lindsay with any of these women, but in my own way, what I did was cheating. Physical pain is really what turns me on. It ranges from all things of being kicked, punched, slapped. Something about it just makes me feel alive. One time I was at a restaurant, and after the waitress got off, we had had drinks, and as she was leaving, I saw an opportunity to go lay underneath her car as she was backing out, and she ran over my arm.
It's swollen, man. My is definitely done.
Since I was young, I've always been attracted to women's shoes. That's been a fetish of mine. I've probably spent over $5,000 this year on other women to purchase designer shoes. Just the fact that they're using my money to purchase these is exciting.
I have all these shoes Brandon buys for me. I feel like I have to keep tabs and know what I have and see where it's at because Brandon ended up talking to some girl. He's suggesting, will you make me mess up my girlfriend's Christian Louboutin heels that I just bought for her? Of course, the woman's gonna say yes, he's paying them. So took a pair of my Christian Louboutin heels and ruined the bottoms of them and sent her money because she made him do that.
I don't do these things maliciously to hurt Lindsay. I do lie to her to keep things secret to avoid hurting her, which in turn hurts her worse. I truly, before all this, felt like a part of the family. Now my relationship with the triplets is extremely complicated. I want Lindsay to set boundaries with her sisters as it pertains to our relationship. I truly believe that there's a possibility to remedy this situation and develop new habits that don't direct me into self-sabotage.
Well, Brandon, I'm glad you're here. You say that you don't like talking to Lindsay's sisters. Why not?
It's not that I don't like talking to them. It's hard to face what you've done. It really is. It's especially in front of people that love you and that you love. So it's not that I don't want to talk to them. It's I don't like facing the reality of what this is.
Uh-huh. And what this is, what is this?
Just, here hoping you could help me find out, because I don't really know how to explain it. I don't know how to justify or make sense of it. I don't know why I like it. I don't know why it takes control.
I think something is mentally wrong with Brandon. After my sister confronted Brandon about all of his lies, he just brushed it off and asked, when do you want to go out for like a weekend getaway? I don't know how he could say that.
When Brandon calls Lindsay crazy, it's literally like the pot calling the kettle black. Brandon is the crazy one.
I feel like this has to be an addiction because I don't think Brandon would do this to me intentionally.
If somebody said that I had a mental problem, I would say, possibly. I can't diagnose this or determine where it stems from. I'd say I need to go get my head checked.
Well, I'm not so sure that we're talking about a mental problem so much as we're talking about an integrity problem. We're back with Brandon and his girlfriend, Lindsay. Lindsay's sisters, Kelly and Jessica, say they can't trust Brandon anymore after they claim he has lied throughout most of his relationship with Lindsay, which is why I say there's certainly an integrity element here. Would you two agree with that?
I agree.
Absolutely.
And I say this seems like, he describes this as, this dark world and why I pull people into this dark world. Well, let's just turn a big bright light on over this dark world, because on the one hand, we're talking about fetish behavior. And like I say, I'm the least judgmental person I've ever met. I mean, I don't know, I'm sure there are least judgmental people than me, but I just figure, people are entitled to do whatever they want to do as long as it doesn't hurt other people. But when you start victimizing other people with your proclivities, we've moved out of fetish behavior, which are practiced by millions of people, and start moving into sociopathic behavior, of lying, cheating, stealing, exploiting, using, abusing other people, that's a whole different category of behavior that has nothing to do with fetish behavior. All people that have fetishes are not exploitive. All people that are exploitive don't practice fetishes. So they really have no relationship whatsoever. And so there's another category of behavior here. One, you have fetish behaviors, okay? And if that's okay with you, and you can wrap your head around that, then that would be between you as a couple. But we're talking about more than that, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about the fact that he lies to you, cheats on you, takes money that would be part of your relationship going forward, gives it to other people that could be spent on your children's education, could be spent on your home, could be spent on you, could be spent on a number of things that he's going behind your back and lying and cheating about, that he's off doing what he considers to be intimate and sexual with another woman.
Yeah.
Now, if for him sexual is, pouring milk in a cup and throwing it up in the air, it doesn't matter. If for him that's what is sexual, and he does that with somebody other than you, and he wouldn't do that with you standing there,
That's an issue.
then that's cheating.
I agree. Absolutely, I agree.
Because if in his mind that's sexually arousing, and he wouldn't do that with you standing there, then that's cheating.
I
And if
agree.
he would do it with you standing there, then you're a fool.
Yeah.
So, I mean, y'all hear what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I'm glad somebody else is saying it.
It's just because it comes from your mouth, Dr. Phil, and not mine, it's different. But
Yeah.
we've told her this 100 times.
You took a woman to y'all's father's shop, correct?
Yes. When he's in the hospital dying of cancer.
Yeah, he's in the hospital fighting a terminal disease,
Yes.
and you take a woman to his business and film her destroying his record collection, correct?
Yes, sir.
Brandon, how do you justify that?
I can't justify it. I can't. It's selfish. I don't have any way to justify it. I don't have an excuse for it. I'm not gonna.
Okay, well then take me through the thought process. What did you say to her?
It's not about having a conversation. It's just more of a fact of, here's money, this is what I want you to do, and there's not really any other question about it.
But she had to know what to do. Take me through the moment where you communicated to her what it is you wanted her to do.
I just had the records, and I told her that I wanted her to break them.
Your girlfriend, the woman you love's dying father, you went back and got his record collection and brought it out and said, okay, I want you to break all of this stuff while I watch. Okay, and did you become sexually aroused at that point?
Sexually aroused? No.
So what did you do?
I don't know. It is some type of rush or feeling that I get, that it's like the further I push things into a level of, I don't know how to explain it. The worse it gets,
What did he do? He filmed it so he could watch it later, I guess.
I filmed everything.
How many times have you watched that video?
He didn't get a chance to because I found it the day later and I deleted everything off of his phone.
Here's a text message from Brandon to a woman about keying his car and being run over, of course. Brandon, can we trade the slap? She's going to slap him, and you run me over instead. I thought you said she didn't know anything about running you over.
I don't know is this the same person?
I don't know. You tell me how many people run over you.
I've discussed it with multiple people, but I've only been been ran over twice, actually.
One woman had agreed to do it, and the other one you just laid down, but one agreed to do it.
Yes, sir.
You got to also ask yourself who he's hanging around with
Oh, I know the woman.
and what kind of element he's bringing into your life through him. Because if they're saying, you know, he's okay with that, what are they going to do next? And at what point is he likely to decide what kind of rush it would be to have somebody beat out of you?
He already wanted someone to key her vehicle, her truck.
Yeah.
He was going to pay someone to come key her car. So it's already getting into her. Or my
Yeah.
dad's
Not to
record.
mention, she knew where I lived, so I didn't feel safe at my own apartment anymore.
Lindsay sent us this video. She says she found where Brandon had an unnamed woman roll over Lindsay's designer shoe. The video stops right before her heel went under the wheel. Take a look.
Oh,
Well, but then you did continue on and run over it, correct?
run over it there? No, sir.
So how did this damage happen?
On that video, that's not when it was ran over. It was ran over later, after probably 10, 15, 20 minutes, I don't know. But it wasn't on that video. They didn't
But
keep
it
going.
was run over
Yes, sir.
by that woman in that car.
Yes, sir.
Now, Lindsay is still unsure whether she will stay in her relationship with her boyfriend Brandon or walk away forever. But unfortunately, we're out of time for today. So tune in tomorrow when Lindsay's sisters, Jessica and Kelly, finally get the opportunity to tell Lindsay and Brandon how they really feel about their relationship. And they have major concerns. Now, Brandon claims he wants help and is ready to change. But does he really mean it? One of Lindsay's friends says no, and she explains why she believes Brandon is a manipulator, pathological liar, and selfish person who used being a disabled Marine to get his way and cheat with over 50 women. Now, I know you thought you've heard it all, but believe it or not, there's even more to this story.
Jessica and Kelly are my sisters. We're triplets. We're extremely close.
My sisters and I are not only triplets, but we were born from the same egg.
For people that aren't a twin or a triplet, they may not understand, but I feel like a triplet bond is different.
We're best friends.
Yeah, we're best friends. Lindsay and Brandon were always happy, but all that changed about a year ago.
Lindsay did show me one of the videos. It's him and a girl out in the middle of the woods, and this girl is like stepping on his chest.
Brandon wants the best of both worlds. A romantic and sensual relationship with me, and he wants to have women on the side to fulfill these urges that he has. I do feel that Lindsay should just move on in her relationship, and that involves leaving Brandon.
The two of you are very concerned about what's going on with your sister, right?
Absolutely.
And this is your designer purse and your designer shoes. And Brandon had a girl damage these, and he says that's part of his fetish.
He had a woman damage the bag, light it on fire, and burn it.
Kelly, what do you think about this?
I think it's crazy. You hate to think she's lying. Until she showed me the stuff, that's when I believed it.
What kinds of things has he asked you to do that were outside your comfort zone?
Kick him in the face, of course. Kick him, you know.
Kick him in the groin.
If this is what he likes, I'm gonna try and please him.
My relationship with the triplets is extremely complicated. Lindsay's known about my sexual tendencies since the beginning of our relationship. Lindsay was willing to experiment with me with things that I had paid other women to do. I've never physically cheated on Lindsay with any of these women. Physical pain is really what turns me on.
You actually paid the woman to run over you with a car.
It's swollen there. My is definitely done.
What was your immediate reaction to that?
That was a bad idea.
If it's such a bad idea, why are you asking me to do it then?
But have we ever done it?
No, because I know boundaries.
If for him that's what is sexual and he does that with somebody other than you, then that's cheating.
I'm glad somebody else is saying it.
It's just because it comes from your mouth, Dr. Phil, and not mine, it's different. But
Yeah.
we've told her this 100 times.
You say that you don't like talking to Lindsay's sisters. Why not?
It's not that I don't want to talk to them, it's I don't like facing the reality of what this is.
What is this?
So I'm here hoping you could help me find out.
You took a woman to y'all's father's shop
When he's in the hospital dying of cancer,
and film her destroying his record collection. You become sexually aroused.
Sexually aroused, no.
he filmed it so he could watch it later.
Now, how many times did you watch that video?
He didn't get a chance to. I deleted everything off of his phone.
At what point is he likely to decide what kind of rush it would be to have somebody beat the out of you?
He already wanted someone to key her vehicle, so it's already getting into her.
She knew where I lived, so I didn't feel safe at my own apartment anymore.
So he's destroying your stuff one step away from you. Brandon, how do you justify that?
It's selfish, but I don't have an excuse for it. I can't justify it. I can't.
Now, I've made a distinction here between fetish behavior, which can be agreed upon within a relationship between a couple, and other behavior that goes outside the relationship that has nothing to do with the fetish. It's just simply exploitation, victimization, and cheating. And there seems to be an attempt to ball all of these together when they are distinctly separate and apart. Now, you guys have been hearing me talk about this. What do you think about what I'm saying, and what do you think about this conversation so far?
I mean, obviously we agree with what you say. I mean, we've tried to discuss it with actually probably both of them in the past, but it's just getting through to my sister when she continues to condone this behavior and continues to enable this behavior. That's what's frustrating for us. And then, but then a week later, she'll come call us crying and say, "Oh, he did this again." And honestly, I'm tired of hearing about it. So if she's going to stay with him and be with that type of relationship, and that's what she wants for her future, then go on, have at it. But we're just not going to be involved in it.
All right. How do you feel, Kelly?
I feel like they had a good relationship, and Lindsay thinks they had a good relationship, but she never knew they didn't have a good relationship until she found all this out. So she loved Brandon, and she loves Brandon currently, but I think she loves the idea of who he was in their relationship before she ever knew anything.
From 2006 to 2010, I was in the Marines. I was injured in Iraq when our vehicle rolled over. My right arm was crushed and paralyzed. A couple years ago, I had a surgery. They were able to get 80% use back in my arm. After my injury, I was just numb all over, and pain made me feel alive. It's not a correlation from my injury to this addiction. I've had it before, but since the injury, pushing my limits and trying to take more has become the norm, and that's what scares me.
I don't feel like that's a reason to go out and do these things with other women. That's not an excuse for his actions or for him to lie to me.
What has Lindsay told you that we haven't brought up yet? I mean, we've opened this can, let's eat the whole thing.
I mean, I think everything that happened in the relationship, we know after the breakup a year ago, because we couldn't believe it.
No, they never broke up.
Well, true, they never
Yeah,
broke up. She was
yeah.
always with him. But I feel like we know everything. You've brought up everything. I can't think of one thing that...
Yeah, it's just the paying women for inflicting pain. It's the stuff
The
that my
lying,
sister's
the
done, which is
cheating.
kind of shocking. It's the reaching out outside the relationship. I mean, it's that, but it's also like paying. It's not even just designer goods, like you're saying, Dr. Phil. It's like paying rent payments, paying car payments, like just spending random money on random women. It's like, for what purpose? What are you getting from that? I don't understand.
And you get a thrill out of paying money to women, right?
Yes, sir.
It's not just what happens, it's just the fact that you're paying money to women.
Yes, sir.
And what do you say to yourself about that that's exhilarating?
I don't know if it's an insecurity. I don't know if it's a power thing. Shame is the one thing that I do feel very shameful And I am very remorseful for the things I do. I am. I don't know what, other than feeling the fact that it empowers me, makes me feel good. I don't know.
So, how's y'all's sex life, if I can be so bold?
I mean, we actually have a good relationship. Like, Brandon keeps everything very exciting, very fun. I mean, it's 80-20. I do 80% of the things he wants to do. He does 20% of what I want to do. But, I mean, we have a good relationship.
When you say it out loud like that, that doesn't sound like a good relationship.
80-20.
When you
Just
say
doesn't.
80% of the things he wants to do, so you're
Okay, like
you're at home at night and you
Yeah,
decide, okay,
we're at home and okay, you know, do you want me to kick in? Do you want me to crush you? Like, you know, what do you want me to do towards you? It's
But I would also say that it has become a point to where, would you agree or disagree that we both do enjoy?
No, I enjoy it. Absolutely. I'm not saying I don't. I do. Like, at this point, I'm 2.5 years in. I would not know how to be in a normal relationship anymore. It's just the truth. I wouldn't. But
There's also things that you like that, you
yeah,
know,
I mean, what he does to me, I enjoy, but it's 20% of the time. I mean, we
Yeah.
have a different relationship. It's not, you know, normal, but it works for us. And Brandon always keeps everything exciting. I mean, it's not like I'm like, oh God, I have to do this again. It's like, okay, yeah, like he makes it fun.
and how is that fun for you? I mean, you say I stand on his face, or I stand on his throat, or I kick him in the groin, or whatever. How is, over 2.5 years, how has that become fun for you? How have you changed that perceptually in your mind? Because it wasn't at first, right?
No, I mean, at first I was like, are you sure? Like, I don't really want to do this, you know, but then it's like, if I don't do it, he's going to go do it with someone else. So I don't want that to happen either.
He does that anyways, Lindsay. It's not like
Well,
he's
actually, I
saving
mean, he
it for
hasn't met
you.
with anyone in over a year, but
What?
he hasn't physically met with anyone in over a year.
But he's texted and talked.
I know, he,
Are you kidding me? Don't try and make him look good when he's still
and
doing it.
I'm not gonna take any validation, or I'm not gonna try to, hey, attaboy, because there's none here to have. I hope more than anything that you are not only enjoying this just because it is something for me. If that is the case, that's not enough for you. It's not. And it will never be. And I can't honestly say that I want that for you. I don't.
Well, that's why I'm
really-
asking, what is in this for you? You said at first you didn't like it. How did this evolve in your
do
experience?
something for 2.5 years every day. I mean, you get to like it. Like, you just, I don't know. I mean, it's literally all I've done for the past 2.5 years. You just, if it's what you're gonna do, you may as well enjoy it. Like, and I do, I enjoy it.
And what is the enjoyment you got out of kicking him in the face?
Is it because he gets enjoyment and that makes you happy?
I don't know.
or-
I mean, I guess. I don't know. It's not like I'm like, he's like backing away. He's bringing his face to me, like to my
He's asking
shoe.
what your enjoyment is. Why
I
would
know.
you
I
enjoy
mean, I
kicking
don't know.
someone?
I guess I enjoy it because he enjoys it.
But what is your experience at the time, is what I'm asking you.
My experience is, you can tell he enjoys it. So I'm like, yes, if this is really what he wants, like I want to please him. Like I want to make him happy. He's my boyfriend and I love him.
I wanted to read part of a statement here from a friend of Lindsay's. Brandon is not who I thought he was. He uses the fact that he is a disabled Marine injured at war to get people to trust and think he is a good person. He is a manipulator, a pathological liar, and a selfish person. Brandon consistently put down and disrespected Lindsay by calling her names such as bitch and stupid. Lindsay went above and beyond to do everything she could for Brandon. Brandon still went to the extreme with his sexual fetishes, cheating on her with 50+ women. Brandon had someone run over him with their car and asked women to vandalize Lindsay's vehicle. Lindsay will never be able to fully trust Brandon again. Now, that's part of a statement from a friend of yours. 50 plus women. Now you say
Well,
he
she
hasn't been
could-
with anybody in the.
She can put herself in that category because she was getting money from Brandon too. I mean, it's like everyone wants to play a victim here, but they're not complaining when they're getting money.
Do you see the issue I keep bringing up is boundaries? He
Yeah, he
doesn't
has
have
none.
boundaries.
He has literally zero. I know that.
And he's willing to trash your car, your belongings. What makes you think you can't be next?
I don't know. I mean, I very well could be.
Be honest with yourself. You say he hasn't been with anybody else for a year? I don't believe that.
Well, in person, he just had someone text him on Saturday on the ride up here.
But
I mean,
why do
he's
you
still
believe he hasn't
talking
been
to these
anybody in
women.
person for a year?
Exactly. Good question.
Because he told me, and I want to trust
Oh,
him.
well, as long as he said he hadn't. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
That's their relationship, literally.
I want to trust that he's like on the right path.
That's why I'm here. I want to put this out in the open. I want to do whatever it takes because I
then
don't
why
want
are
to
you
go.
telling her you haven't been with anybody in a year?
I have not physically met up with women like I had weekly in almost a year. In almost a year. Have I engaged in conversation? Have I sent money? Yes. Not physically met up with these people. And yes, that is a big step for me, and I would love to go further, but I cannot honestly say the next week, next month, that I wouldn't, because I cannot control. I cannot control
That's
this.
why I don't believe you.
Well, this is why I'm here. I want to do whatever it takes. Whatever it takes.
Well, whatever it takes is being 100% honest and forthcoming. And you're telling me I can't control myself, but yet I have restrained myself for the last year. Which is it? You've restrained yourself for the last year, or you can't control yourself. Those two sentences do not live in the same world. You either can't control yourself or you've controlled yourself for the last year. One of those is true, one of them is not.
I have moderated myself. Does that make sense? Is that a better statement?
It's a better attempt.
I mean, he still reached out for conversations. He still sent money to these women. And he says he hasn't met up with anyone.
I do not have control. I don't.
Yeah.
But I am sure as hell trying to do whatever it takes, coming on the show, putting all this out here, because I want to stop. I've gotten really good at running
Why do you want
from
to stop?
everything.
If this is gratifying to you, why do you want to stop?
To what point? I'm going to be 50 years old, still continuing to hurt people, still continuing to lie, still continuing to do things that I know are not right, and I feel shameful later. No, I don't want that.
You want to stop lying, but you don't want to stop the fetish, you just want to stop lying.
I would love, I don't feel the fetish is a problem. I feel the lying and trying to go about it the way that I have for as long as I can remember, that is the issue.
But you fully acknowledge that practicing this fetish behavior with her is not enough. You have to have other women involved, at least up until now.
I've never fully been involved with someone like Lindsay, so I've always went elsewhere. I always have. And so I use that as a validation of that's why I'm still doing it. I am fully happy with what Lindsay and I do.
Well, based on results, that's not true,
I
because you're
understand that.
reaching out to other women. If you were fully happy with Lindsay, you wouldn't be you wouldn't be facilitating
I
this
agree.
with other women.
I agree. I don't know how to stop. I don't.
You know, Lindsay, the thing I want to be very clear with you about is we're talking about two distinct categories of behavior and values here. One is the fetish behavior, and that's between the two of you. You're adults, and that's your decision. When it gets to the point where you're having a car run over your arm, then that's not okay. that's not what sadomasochistic behavior is about. That you've gone beyond fetish behavior, and you're now into self-destructive behavior that's toxic and pathological. So you've gone outside the bounds of what I think people would normally define as sadomasochistic behavior and become self-destructive. And you need to be aware that people might look at a sadomasochistic relationship and say, that's sick. That's people's judgment, but that's between the two of you. But when it gets to the point that it's inflicting injury and putting lives at danger, then that's no longer fetish behavior, that's self-destructive behavior. When he's having his arm run over by a car, that can cause paralysis, it can cause a blood clot, which can cause death, that can cause, that's not fetish behavior, that's just stupid. And that's stupid behavior. And that means there's something in there filter-wise that's not right, because he's obviously not a stupid person. Yeah. So something's distorting your perception, right? For that to be okay. And you said immediately when you did it, bad idea. Yes, sir. Your filter cleared right up, because you're not a stupid person. That's just a self-destructive behavior. That's not a smart thing to do. And you know that intellectually, correct? Yes, sir. So even the bounds of the fetish behavior have been violated. But let's set that extreme behavior aside and just say the two of you have a sadomasochistic sexual relationship, and say, we're not going to pass any judgment on that whatsoever. If that's what floats your boat, then get a paddle, okay. But then there's a whole other category of behavior, and that's integrity. Does your partner have the emotional integrity to be honest with you, to be truthful with you, to be predictable with you, to be someone that you can count on, to not betray you? And he says, I haven't been with anybody physically for almost a year. But he says, I have been in contact with other women by text, phone, internet, whatever. I have been sending them money. That's not okay.
I agree.
I mean, it's like you can just cheat on me a little bit. You just cheat on me sort of. The question becomes, what are you willing to settle for? Because you teach people how to treat you, and you get in this life what you're willing to ask for and what you're willing to settle for. And he clearly needs help. He knows he needs help. You know he needs help. You know he needs help. You know he needs help. People driving by out on Melrose know he needs help. Hell, this isn't Lassie could figure that out. You know that, right? Yes, sir. You've said that. That's why you're here. And the question is, do you want to continue to be violated in hopes that he will eventually get that, and this relationship will be salvageable?
No.
And what is your answer to that question?
No, that's why we're here. Do you believe this is an addiction, or do you believe it's just him being a man and going after what he wants? Like, is there seriously something wrong with him to where he's doing this?
There's seriously something wrong with him. I mean,
That's obvious.
Really? That's your question?
Yeah, because I feel like
there's seriously something wrong with him.
Okay, so if he gets help, and do you feel like it's possible that we move forward? Like, am I ever going to get this out of the back of my mind? Are we going to be able to be in a relationship happily and not have to constantly worry about this?
You have some atypical urges, motivations, and proclivities that are invading this relationship. You agree with that characterization?
Yes, sir.
You have some atypical motivations, impulses, and proclivities that are actually putting your health and well-being at risk because
More-
you've
more
made some
so.
decisions that have actually created some,
Dangerous situations.
yeah, um, which, and you said you couldn't control that impulse. But there are two things I would highly recommend for you, and I'm going to make them available to you. One is you do need professional help. Not because of the fetish, but because you violated the boundaries of the fetish and put yourself in danger. And I'm willing to arrange that for you, to get you some professional help, to kickstart you on the road. And I also think you need to have your brain seriously evaluated to see whether or not you have some type of anomaly from your traumatic brain injury that has changed your pleasure centers in some way, have scrambled the neurotransmitters in the neocortex of your brain, the your amygdala, the cingulate gyrus of your brain in such a way that your impulse control and what it takes for you to move the needle has really been distorted. And I can tell you that I am highly suspect that that is true. And I also know that at your age, there is tremendous progress that can be made to heal that if that is in fact the case. The brain's a very resilient organ. And I would rule that out, because if you don't rule that out and there are anomalies in your brain, all the talking therapy in the world is going to be building a house on sand. So I think you need to look at that first. And I'm going to call my dear friend, Dr. Daniel Amen, at Amen Clinics, and see if we can arrange for you to go to the Amen Clinic and have your brain evaluated there, and see if in fact there are some things that you can do. First, is there damage? Are there some anomalies? And if so, what kind of protocol would change that for you? And if I were you, I would want that information
As soon as possible.
real fast, because if that's true, a lot of this could be involuntary for you. I mean, you're like a passenger on a runaway train. If part of your brain is overspeeding and part of your brain is asleep, it needs to be awake. We need to find that out real fast, because you could be like back in row 14 on a runaway train, not up there steering this thing. And in fairness to you, I think that needs to be evaluated. And then, if that's true and those things are addressed, then the cognitive behavioral therapy, changing what you say to yourself, your internal dialogue, could have a profound effect across time. And I would watch very closely to see whether he really immerses himself in that process or whether he doesn't, and find
Well,
out what's
according to you, I shouldn't be around for the process.
exactly
Is that
right.
what you're saying? I mean,
Exactly
yeah.
right. I would let him go do this and see what you find out. Or you're going to spend 10, 15 years dealing with exactly what you're dealing with right now. I'm just telling you my opinion. I am not the repository of all knowledge. I don't have the answers to every question, but to me, this isn't a close call. I am, however, going to make available to you what I believe are the most profound steps you can take to get to the bottom of this. And
I appreciate that.
I will make
truly
that
do.
happen straight away. I'm calling your behavior what it is. I'm not talking about you and your worth and value as a human being. I'm labeling your behavior as unacceptable. I'm making no judgment of you as a human being. I'm saying your behavior is out of bounds, unacceptable, lacks integrity, and you should reject it on its face. If he can come back to you and an independent professional can tell you that he's done what he needs to do, then you can reconsider this. Maybe she'll be available then, maybe she won't. But you need to do this first. And if you care about her, you'll go do what you need to do. Have I been clear?
Yeah.
Have I been clear?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I want to thank all of my guests today, and a special thanks to Dr. Daniel Amen and the Amen Clinics for working with Brandon. Amen Clinics are spread across the United States. They have a dozen clinics and do some of the finest work on brain evaluation and rehabilitation in the country. They have one of the biggest databases. They've worked with the NFL. They work with the military. They have one of the largest databases to really get a baseline on brains and then set up the protocols to do the reparative work that's necessary that's around. And I have great respect for Dr. Amen. He's a good friend and one that I respect highly. His current book is The End of Mental Illness. And the title is because he believes that the brain function is what really underlies so much of what we now consider to be psychiatric in nature. I highly recommend it. It's a great read. For more information about today's show, log on to drphil.com. And don't forget to check me out on my social media outlets. I'm always on Facebook talking about these things after the fact, hearing what you guys have to say and chatting it up.